Dr. Kemi Lawrence, Part 2, Persecuted IJ. In Part 1, I ended by telling you that the police came to my house and they told me it's a civil matter and they just want to interrogate me about what I posted online in my blog about Pastor David Abiyomi of the Salvation Ministry, and that we were going to CID. So, as we got into the hillocks, I went in with two officers, one by the name of David and the other one Justin. They were federal SARS officers. They identified themselves as federal SARS and they came from Abuja. They now took me to the CID office in Iyaganku, Ibadan. We came out of the hillocks. My mother followed us with her driver in a car behind. And then they took me inside to a room and left me in that room. After 10 minutes, they came back into the room and gave me a sheet of paper and told me to write what happened. And I'm like, write what? They said what I know about the article. And I said, I can't write anything without a lawyer present. Coming from the United States, you know that you're not supposed to write any statements to police without a lawyer present. Okay, we have Fifth Amendment rights in the U.S., and that means you have the right to keep silent. You have the right to remain silent because anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. Anything you say or write. So I didn't write anything. And they were gone for like 40 minutes and came back. Unknown to me, David and Justin went to eat. And they came back and said, okay, let's go to the commissioner's office. They put me back into the hillocks that morning. And we were on our way to the commissioner's office. If you know Ibadan very well, the police commissioner's office is in LA, and the CID is in Iyaganku. So on turning out of that Iyaganku place, heading towards LA, I noticed the officers were not going towards LA. There were 3 AK-47s in that hillocks, me and 2 officers in the back, 1 in the front, and the driver. Everybody was wearing a bulletproof vest. And they drove me into the sunset. And I mean sunset. And I said, wait, where are we going? This is not the way to LA. They did not answer me. I simply thought they were going to execute and kill me. And they were not police officers. They did not answer me. I was terrified. And I did not know I was being kidnapped by Nigerian police. Some of you are saying now that, why haven't I sued them? Why? You will hear everything. But at the end of the day, this is why I'm doing this as a video docuseries. So the world can see and hear from my own mouth the terror Nigerian police put me through. And this is the reason why I do not, and I repeat, I do not support Nigerian police for anything they're doing. They are the worst police department in the world. Bear in mind that my own grandfather was the first GIG over there. In 1951, he retired. He was appointed by Queen Elizabeth. Yes, I am a member of the police family. And I suggest that every Nigerian must never have faith in the Nigerian police. I'm saying it. And if you want, you can have faith in them. They will kill you. As they drove me into the highway we were traveling, they did not see anything. They ignored me. What am I supposed to do sitting between 2 officers holding automatic rifles? I was terrified. I had massive panic attacks. I was full of fear. And in Nigeria, they will stop in the bushes and kill you and dump you there or even rape you. At the end of the day, the one in the front, Justin, who looks like the leader, IPO, they called him. Justin said, oh my God, it's in the front of the punch. What were they talking about? They were talking about a story saying that Kemi Olunloyo was arrested by police who surrounded her house at 7:20 in the morning. They went by what I tweeted. The phone rang. Somebody called Justin from Abuja. One of his bosses said, They were stupid. You could visibly hear the guy talking. Justin put it on speaker so that David can hear in the back. And the boss was screaming at them and cursing them out because they didn't do the job well. The job was that they take me to custody. I wouldn't even have the time to tweet anything. He was wondering, when did I have the time to tweet and post everything on social media? Remember, they told me to go back inside and dress up and we're going. That was my opportunity. I took all my iPads, all my laptops. I hid them in several parts of the house. They would never be able to find them or take them. And I left with my mother's smartphone. The phone I left with had Instagram open. And it was my mother's smartphone. At the end of the day, they started traveling with me. We now arrived in a place called Edo State, Benin. I traveled about 5 to 7 states in Nigeria in one day, 12 hours. When we got to Benin, I said, are we going here to Benin? This is Benin. The sign says Benin. We got to a motor park. We were traveling at a high speed with the sirens on throughout the trip. It was not a convoy, it was single hillocks. When we got to Benin, we passed a motor park in Edo State. I don't know the name of that motor park, but they slowed down. They slowed down and they were looking left and right as we slowed down at that motor park. Their headlights was turned off. They had their headlights on during the day, of course. The siren was turned off on the top of the car, and they were moving slow, looking left and right. When we passed that motor park, there were many buses loading people to travel long distance. As those buses were loading people left and right, and hawkers selling snacks and things that the drivers and the passengers would buy, they were very vigilant. I said, what's going on? What are you guys looking at? What is happening? They did not talk. As they got to the end of the motor park, they now sped off. And we were back on the highway until we got to the next state. Then when we passed Benin, I asked them why they slowed down. For the first time they talked to me, they said, we killed 3 armed robbers here when we were coming to pick you up. What? David and Justin said when they were coming to pick me up in Ibadan, this was the same route they took, that armed robbers usually operate in those motor parks, and that when they were coming, they killed 3 armed robbers, robbing motorists and passengers at night who were loaded into the motor park. Now, you know insecurity has always been in Nigeria. Imagine being at a motor park traveling, and armed robbers come and rob everything, take your money and all that. So they happen to be like the savior of the moment. In other words, police just shows up, and they ended up shooting 3 armed robbers on their way to Ibadan. So on us going back through that route, even though it was daytime, they turned off everything. Because if the armed robbers were to see a police car coming with sirens and all, they could open fire on the car. And all of them had bulletproof. I didn't. So I could be killed. That's what they told me. I even got more and more terrified by that trip. They still didn't tell me where they were taking me. Did you not come to my house and say, a Port Harcourt pastor asked you, are we going to Port Harcourt? They wouldn't tell me. We passed by Anambra State. We passed by Delta State. We passed by so many places. But we now got to one place called Asaba. After hours, I was hungry. I was thirsty. I had not had my shower. They took me with my nightgown and told me I was going to CID, and they lied to me. The Nigerian police kidnapped me. When we got to Asaba, I was determined to kill them all. I will tell you the trick I played to them. I said this on TVC, and the officers called me begging me for forgiveness.